Okay. We are ready to start the meeting.
Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Bond Oversight Committee of the Midpeninsula Regional Open Space District. The meeting is now called to order. It is 5:30 p.m. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Committee Member Silker. Committee Member Emery.
Present.
Committee Member Tolley.
Present.
Committee Member Gordon. Committee Member Cole.
Present.
Committee Member Permit. Committee Member Betlam is absent. Committee Member Silker. Committee Member Silker, you're muted. Committee Member Silker is present. Thank you.
So we have 4 members present.
We have 6.
6. Okay. And we have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay. This hybrid meeting is being held in accordance with a recent amendment to the Brown Act through legislation known as AB 361, which allows teleconference meetings during proclaimed emergencies. We are doing our best to conduct a hybrid meeting where everyone has an opportunity to listen to the meeting and to provide comment. The meeting agenda explains how members of the public can provide comments at this meeting. The public may provide oral comments in person, through the internet, or via telephone during the meeting. Members of the public who wish to comment during the meeting should submit the public comment form, which is available in the boardroom if you're here in person, or on the district website if you're attending remotely. Let's start by briefly describing the process today. Committee members and district staff who are not attending the meeting in person will be participating in the Zoom online meeting as panelists. To have the ability to mute and unmute themselves and interact among each other, members of the public may be present at the district's boardroom or via Zoom. Members of the public may be present at the district's boardroom or via Zoom. Members of the public attending via Zoom will be able to hear and see all presentations, but they will not be able to unmute themselves or share their screens. During the public comment period, the district clerk will call on members of the public individually who have submitted a public comment form online or in person. Committee members and staff, please keep your microphones muted unless you are speaking in order to minimize background noise and crosstalk. The committee chair will ask for committee member questions and comments by calling on each committee member in turn. This will help prevent us from talking over each other. I'd like to remind all staff members to announce their names and titles when speaking to ensure that the committee and the public know who is speaking. Thank you. So the first topic is it's time for oral communications for matters not on the agenda. Clerk, are there any members of the public who have submitted a comment on matters within the jurisdiction of this committee but are not on the agenda tonight?
Committee Member Tolley, we do not have any public comments at this moment.
Okay, then this item is concluded. So move on to the agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt. Is there a second?
I'll second, although I can see that Silker is mouthing. His response.
And who's seconding?
Kit Gordon.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's moved and seconded. Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Committee Member Silker. Committee Member Emery.
Approve. Yes.
Committee Member Tolley.
Yes.
Committee Member Gordon.
Yes.
Committee Member Cole,
Yes.
Committee Member Permit,
Yes.
motion passes 6-0.
All right, our first agenda item is selection of the 2023 Bond Oversight Committee Chair and Vice Chair. So first item is the chair. So may I have a nomination for the position of committee chair? Is it appropriate?
Bruce. I nominate you, Bruce. You do a great job.
I was trying to pass the baton on, and I heard a rumor that Brian was interested. Can I nominate can I make a nomination? Okay, I'll nominate Brian Silker.
I see that this is Hillary Stevenson, General Counsel. I see that committee member Silker is nodding his head. I don't know if there's a way of getting his audio working for the remainder of the meeting or having him call in. Committee member Silker, one option might be for you to try to exit and rejoin the meeting. Maybe you could, I don't know if, would it be okay to take a very brief break while we try to get his audio working? Because it's a little bit difficult for him to participate in
Yes,
this.
right.
We have to read his body language.
I think that's perfectly appropriate.
Okay, we're going to watch committee member Silker disappear, and hopefully when he comes back, we could hear his audio.
Well, while we're waiting, I just want to say I'm very thankful that we have 3 new members. I wasn't able to attend the tour and meet the new recruits. I'm sure staff did an excellent job. I got tired of the virtual tours where we'd sit at home watching our screens, pictures of places we weren't able to see in person.
And you should have gotten on this one, Bruce.
I was trying to clean leaves out of off my roof, and all of a sudden gravity decided to pull my ladder down, so I wasn't physically able to make it. But I rode my bike 10 miles yesterday, so I'm on the mend. It was the shortest ER visit I'd ever had.
Testing,
good.
testing. Do you hear me now?
Excellent. All right.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, great. Great. I got in again. I did a Zoom meeting earlier today with this laptop and it worked fine. So anyway, great. Thanks for taking a few minutes and helping me get on.
We'll blame it on the Amazon cloud, which hosts everyone, including Zoom. Okay, so we're in the middle of nominations for chair. Do I have a nomination for Brian Silker as chair?
I'll second.
Okay. We're moved and seconded. Can we move to a vote?
Okay, we need to close on the votes, please, on the nominations. If I could have a nomination.
I move to close
Close.
nominations.
Sorry, who was this?
This is Mr. Cole. I move to close nominations.
Okay, thank you. I need a second
I'll
to
second.
close. Okay, thank you. Okay, committee member Silker,
I'll abstain from the vote, but
Oh, this is a motion to close nomination.
oh, just the, okay,
We're being really
affirmative.
formal tonight.
okay, committee member Emery.
Yes.
I want to make sure it's clear. This is General Counsel Hillary Stevenson. We typically, I believe the process is to get nominations, then a motion and a second to close nominations, and then we vote on the nomination. So I believe that right now the clerk is calling for a vote on the nomination of Brian Silker for committee chair. I just want to make sure that that was clear to everybody. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're voting to elect our new chair. Excellent.
Brad,
Okay.
Chair Tully, we're going to go ahead and do a roll call for the nomination for committee member Silker for chair of 2023 Bond Oversight Committee. So we'll go ahead and start roll call. Committee member Silker,
I'll abstain from this vote.
thank you. Committee member Emery,
I approve of Brian Silker as chairman.
committee member Tully,
Yes.
committee member Gordon,
Yes.
committee member Cole,
Aye.
committee member Permute. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0 with 1 abstention from committee member Silker.
Okay, moving right along. May I have a nomination for the position of committee vice chair? So I'd like to nominate David Emery.
I'll
I
second the
second.
motion.
Do we have any other nominations?
I'm sorry, may I ask of a request, please, when a committee member speaks, if you can please state your name so we can capture the person who's speaking, that'd be great. Thank you.
Oh, this is Bruce Tolley. I nominated David Emery.
And
I'm
this is
sorry,
Brian
one second.
Silker. I second that motion.
Thank you.
This is Curtis Cole. I move to close nominations for vice chair.
Okay, do we have we have a motion to close nominations? Do we have a second to close nominations?
This is Stephen Permit. I second.
Okay, we have a moved and seconded, so we can move to a roll call vote on the committee vice chair.
Okay, committee member Silker,
Aye.
committee member Emery,
I'll abstain.
committee member Tully,
Yes.
committee member Gordon,
Yes.
committee member Cole,
Aye.
committee member Permit. Motion passes 5-1 with 1 abstention from committee member Emery.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Bruce.
This is General Counsel Stevenson again. So I'm just taking a pause because normally we would ask the new chair to chair the remainder of the meeting, and I would hand you the special chair's sheet that guides you through chairing the meeting. But I have not yet developed the power to hand things to people over the internet. So I'm wondering if Mr. Silker, would you like to chair the rest of the meeting? I could email the sheet to you. I'll leave it between you and former Chair Tolley to determine who will chair the remainder of this meeting. Sorry to create this circumstance. I'm happy to, as I said, I'm happy to send you the guide sheet if you wish to have it.
Well, I have that email, but I'm not capable of splitting the screen or toggling. I guess I could pull it up and toggle between screens, but might be easier if Bruce would mind just doing the rest of the meeting. What do you feel about that, Bruce? I can try doing that. I just have to get out of this and open a new email and open that thing up. And then maybe I can toggle between screens. I'm using a laptop that I borrowed from work. I'm over here in Idaho right now.
Well, it might be easier for me to chair the meeting to run over to Idaho with the hard copy, but so I'm assuming you also somewhere you don't have the ability to print. Okay.
You know, I could print it from my friend's computer, but they're out at a restaurant right now. They're due
Okay.
back pretty soon.
Well, if you're okay with it and Hillary's okay with it, I guess I can just power on and have my swan song here. Okay,
That'd be great. If you could do that. I don't want to
Okay.
hold up the meeting anymore by trying to figure out how to toggle between screens.
okay, so we'll proceed.
And
The
new chair Silker will make sure that we have you prepared properly for the next meeting. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that, that form, but I printed some stuff earlier today and I think that email came in later today while I was out. But at any rate, we'll get through this.
We'll
Thank you.
get through it. So the next agenda item is to approve the March 1 minutes. I had one slight emendation to the minutes before we. I assume everyone had a chance to look at them.
Mhm.
My recollection is when I expressed my appreciation to staff, I did a call out to Maria for her support and work supporting this committee, and that didn't get into the minutes, but maybe so could we make that emendation?
Yes.
If not, just thank you again, Maria, for all your help and responsiveness the whole time from the beginning.
Committee Member Tully, I will gladly add those to the minutes. Thank you.
Okay. And then can I have a motion to approve to adopt the minutes from March 1 with that emendation?
So moved. I'm Brian Silker, moving that we approve those minutes.
And do we need a second?
Yes.
And I'll second that, David Emery.
Okay. So I think we're ready for a roll call vote.
Okay. Committee Member Silker,
Aye.
Committee Member Emery,
Aye.
Committee Member Tully,
Aye.
Committee Member Gordon,
Yes.
Committee Member Cole,
Aye.
Committee Member Permit.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. Our next agenda item is to review the annual accountability report, which I've shortened to the binder. And this is a presentation by our general manager, or is it going to be Stefan today? It says, no, the general manager recommends. So may we have a staff presentation for this item?
Yes, good evening. This is Stefan Joshua, CFO. Sorry I can't be there in person right now. Still trying to get the last remnants of a cold cleared out of my system. But I think most of us are virtual, so maybe I'm in good company. Yeah, everybody should have received the binder earlier or before the holidays, which has the entire report in it. And I'm trying to pull it up on my screen so I can share it with you. I kind of lost it. Hang on. Ah, there we go. It's been a while since I actually had to share something on Zoom, so just bear with me for a second. That's a problem. And I think you should see the report right now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So all the committee members received the binder, and we typically like to give that to you before the holidays to give you extra time to read it. It's actually fascinating information in there, so it's not a cure for insomnia in this case. It's actually good information. We put this report out every year. The previous reports are also on the website. And let me walk you through the structure of it. First of all, you'll see there's introduction, mission statement, and also portfolio map. And then we go into the report itself in the binder. There's an executive summary, which basically rolls up the different portfolio allocation and expenditures, and also calls out separately the land expenditures. Land is a very important component of Measure AA. It gives a brief overview of priority portfolios by region. Excuse me. And then we go into portfolio expenditures, and that's the bulk of the report. It's about 70 pages of it. And then we summarize it again, and there's some attachments. So if you don't mind, let me fast forward to the summary to page 84. Let's see if I can find that a little easily. 89, 80, 84. So this gives you a very high-level overview of all the expenditures by portfolio. So you can see here, for example, portfolio 1 and 2 are on this page. If you look at portfolio 1, Miramontes Ridge, it gives you the total portfolio allocation that was part of the ballot language, 27,774,000, and then it gives you projects underneath it, project 4, project 5, project 6, with expenditures through the prior period. So that's the period leading up to this current fiscal year that we're discussing. And then the third column of the numbers is the actual fiscal year that we're discussing this evening. That is what we call FY22. That's July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2022. Those are the expenditures. And you see that's $149,153 for this, in this case. And then it also gives you total life to date and a percentage, the remaining expenditure plan, and then a percentage of how much has been expended. And we do that for all 25 portfolios that comprise Measure AA. So you see, you know, it continues in 3, 4, etc. Then further down in the report, and is the attachments. Oh, here you can see the total 300 million grand total. That's our total authorization. You can see how much we have expended, 82 million. But we had 7.3 million in grants, so net expenditure of 75 million. So what we're doing there is we're augmenting our Measure AA bond funds with grants. To give it extra power and make sure that our money stretches further, if you will. Current period, we've expended almost $6 million, minus the grants, so that's 2.4 million. And the life to date, we're up to 88 gross, or a minus the almost 11 million in grants. So we've expended 77.5 million, which is about 25%. The attachments, we have the ballot language, the vote outcome. Then we have the ordinance that started the entire ballot measure, as well as, let's just scroll down. There's the exhibit. It's basically 300 million in general bond obligation will be sold, and the tax rate not to exceed $3.18 per 100,000 of assessed value. And then the last part here that's important for tonight is the Citizen Oversight Committee. That's what we call the Bond Oversight Committee, the BOC. There are further attachments. This is Exhibit A. Exhibit, this is priority actions. Priority actions translate into 25 portfolios, and they're grouped by region. You can see that here. There's also the initial dollar amounts that are attached to each portfolio in the ballot language. We'll get back to a little bit more on that later in the agenda. And then we have the map as to the geographic spread. Here's the Citizens Oversight Committee. So what we can do is we can go into, let me close your eyes for a second so I can start the portfolio expenditures by number. The way we've set up each portfolio in this report is you see the progress indicators. We do them in quarters, so 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100. There's several with 100%. And then there's also a shading difference, if you will. The dark shade is started at approximately like a quarter. But then you can also see the lighter shade is what we've accomplished this fiscal year. So you can distinguish the progress between prior progress or pertaining exactly to the report itself that we're discussing. So if you take a look at again at portfolio 1, you can see, for example, there are 5 different tasks on the portfolio 1. Preserve scenic open space land is available. We had 25% of it was already accomplished prior to this fiscal year. You can see an additional 25% was accomplished this fiscal year. The second task was restore fish and red-legged frog habitats in Madonna Creek watershed. 25% was done prior, no activity this fiscal year. And then the third one, you can see the partner to enhance water availability for agriculture and fish. That's 25%. It's a lighter shade, so that pertains to this fiscal year. And we still need to work on the other 2 items, which is, develop trail loop system and develop staging area and repair bridges. And also keeping in mind that this is a 30-year commitment. So we're 6-7 years in right now. If it works for the committee, I also have the assistant general managers, Susanna Chan and Brian Malone, on standby, and I think real property manager Mike Williams is also here to answer detailed questions. If committee members have specific questions on specific portfolios, what is a particular project, what is the progress, etc., maybe we can do it in turn of by committee member to answer the particular questions, if that works.
This is Kit Gordon. I have general question as I read through this, and I noticed you have a nice chart at the end of expenditure percentage by project, but you don't have completion of project, and there are some projects that appear to be complete with money left over, and I'm wondering how do we think about that? How do we analyze that? And is there some summary that shows, the main thing is, do we have enough money to finish the project, or do we have extra money? Do we have sufficient or too much money in each project? And how do we manage that, or how do we recommend about that?
Right. That's an excellent question, and we've been thinking about that because the question has come up in the last 2 cycles, I believe, and we'll go over that later in the agenda as well. The board has adopted a policy on how to handle that, because part of the ballot language, there is the ability to move funds from one portfolio to another. Because if you think about it, this was established back in 2014 with a 30-year run rate or 30-year project timeline, and it's not really feasible to pinpoint exactly how much each project would cost, how much each task will cost. So there was the amounts in the ballot language were developed based on best information at that time. Once you dive in and actually tackle a particular project, sometimes the reality, or quite often the reality, is different. I mean, keeping in mind there are different remote areas, it could be different conditions on the ground, pricing. We've all seen inflation even this year. Pricing changes, right? I mean, just lumber rates themselves went through the roof, as did all the other materials. So based on that, there is the flexibility to reallocate funds from portfolio to portfolio, keeping in mind that we do want to accomplish all the tasks. So if there is a portfolio, and I think there are a few that are fully completed, and we'll go over that, I think it's agenda item 5 or 6, how we reallocate those and what the process for that is.
Okay, but so for right now, we're just opening up the questions. We're not going to go from portfolio 1 to portfolio 23 step by step. We're just opening up the questions, correct?
Yes, please.
So are there more questions for Stefan?
This is Curtis Cole. I don't want you to misinterpret, Stefan, my lack of questions on this is, it's more as a lack of interest. It's more of an issue of really trying to understand the depth and breadth here to know where to look and where to dig deep down. And it's impressive and daunting, quite honestly.
It is.
I appreciate Kit's question. The report here provides an excellent overview for where we are. Doesn't quite tell me exactly when we think these will be completed, and I hesitate to even ask the question if we would know when each of these portfolios are expected to be completed, because that's, another 20-some years worth of projects. So I'm trying to step back to understand how we can just make sure that the process is working in our role as these board members, the Board Oversight Committee here. So again, I thank you very much for this report. I have, read it, couldn't memorize all of it. I'm gonna have to read it again, of course, and dig down in deep areas to understand really what the issues are.
Appreciate that.
This is Kit Gordon. I do have a specific question on portfolio 8.
Let me scroll down to the portfolio. Portfolio 8. Lahonda Creek, Russian Ridge.
The top deliverable shows that it's 50% complete,
Mhm.
yet there doesn't seem to be any notable accomplishments. And I was trying to understand that.
Preserve Upper San Gregorio watershed and restore endangered species habitat. Well, the notable accomplishment is that we did purchase 190 acres of woodruff redwoods property, which was added to Lahonda Creek Preserve. So that is 50%.
Yeah, I okay.
Yeah.
It's a land purchase that
Exactly.
preserve and restore. I thought land purchases were listed slightly different. It seemed a little, it seemed confusing to me, like there was some action to preserve or restore the species.
Yeah, and that's our terminology. To preserve basically means to acquire, right? Because then once we acquire, it's preserved in perpetuity. And then the other part is to restore endangered species habitats. So that's why it shows us half, because we haven't started any restoration yet. And if any of the AGMs want to add to that, feel free to jump in.
This is Susanna Chen, Assistant General Manager. Stefan, I think you're right on. It is correct. We preserve 190 acres of watershed land, and that is add to our total land holding. And our next step is to fulfill the second part of that commitment to restore the habitat, and that's the work yet to be done. And that's why that is 50% complete under that priority action.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Susanna.
So did that answer your question, or do you want to dive a little bit deeper?
No, I think I'm just trying to learn the lingo and how things are represented. And now I understand preserve often means land purchase. All my other questions were really about just the mismatch between, or not, I shouldn't say mismatch. It seems like you've gone under budget on so many projects, and for a public agency, that's quite commendable. And that was, all my other questions are just on that, which I think we will get to later in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Bruce. I had a question about the executive summary. Once again, it's a language question. I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Mhm.
Since I haven't read the binder for a year now. So, which maybe puts me a little bit one lap ahead of the new people, but we're always talking about budget, action plan, and expenditure plan. So budget is the spending plan for any one year. Is that correct for the district? Any one fiscal year?
Yes, so yeah, that's a good point. The budget is adopted by the board on a one-year basis. But within it, it has the action plan, which is we call it the capital improvement and action plan, the CIAP, which is actually a 3-year projection. So the funding is appropriated on an annual basis, but we do have the projects within it in the capital plan broken out for 3 years. So we have more information than just 1 year in there.
So the action plan is a 3-year capital plan using for the most part Measure AA funds. Is that
Oh no, there's quite a bit of general fund
other funds? Okay.
capital in there as well. But yes, all of the Measure AA projects are in there, definitely.
And the expenditure plan, that's the long-term plan authorized by Measure AA that's got numbers attached, right?
Right, that's a 30-year plan with 25 portfolios.
And you're going to give us a presentation later tonight about how money might be moved around as priorities change, or you go over budget or under budget on any one project.
Yeah, and it'll be more going over or under budget rather than priorities changing, because the deliverables, like those 5 tasks that we looked at on the portfolio 1 that I showed you, those are there. Those are not changing. But once they're accomplished and there's funding left over, then we could reallocate them.
Committee member Silker, or do you have any questions?
It's not a question. It's maybe a recommendation for next year. In going over the different 25 areas, the 25 portfolios, I would like to see if it's possible to have a thumbnail map put in somewhere in each portfolio that shows the location of each project that's being accomplished that given year. I know that there's some of these that cover almost, the entire open space district, but at least of that area. But it'd be really helpful if we had a thumbnail map showing for example, the Hawthorne's estate, where in Windy Hill or wherever it is, does that exist? So that, this map you have here right now, it doesn't give much detail. So if that's possible, I'd like to see that added next year to a little thumbnail map of where that year's current expenditures are being made. And it doesn't have to be each one. It's just when it's possible for you to put that in. I'd appreciate it.
So let me ask you a clarifying question, if I may. You would like to see more detail than the map that's on the screen right now?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that you could theoretically, like we went on our field trip, and we visited some of those sites. So theoretically, there might be some that we could personally go and visit to be more familiar with it without having to bother staff. Just, if we had that little thumbnail map, we could hike out and take a look at it.
Okay, like on a project basis. Yes.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels about that, but I would really like to see that, because I'm a user of the open space. I'm out there hiking regularly.
I am too, Brian. I think just for clarification purposes, I'm just trying to frame it. You're looking at it on the each individual portfolio, and a little more detail per portfolio would be nice, but you know, it all depends. Like if like Alpine Road is closed to through traffic or construction, so it's kind of hard to go out to visit it while the construction is going on. So that's my 2 cents.
And some of these projects are happening on other properties that aren't even open to the public yet. So this whole document is a public document. So I guess I would leave it to staff and their discretion, because we don't want to like give people maps to places where we don't where there might be a risk of them hurting themselves or doing damage to a conservation effort.
Yeah, so that's a fair point. Typically, when projects are in progress, the areas are closed, right? Because there's construction in progress. Acquisitions are not directly open to the public either, because there's no trails through them, right? And then the third category is restoration, which again, there is also sensitive habitat that would not be open to the public. So I'm not sure if you would be able to visit any of them, or you know, without our tour. That's one thing we try to accomplish with the tour, is to give you a good cross-section of projects that are either coming up or are in progress or have recently been completed. You get a good bird's eye view of all of that. And then sometimes you take the southern end of the district, sometimes you take the northern end or the coast or inland, to mix it up and to provide you the best information possible that way.
Okay, well, I just thought I'd make that suggestion. I understand the reluctance, and I certainly appreciate the field trips.
This is Curtis. This is Curtis Cole. I support though the direction Brian Silker is suggesting there. Maybe it wouldn't have to be an additional 25 pages in the document with a map for each portfolio, but somewhere within the district website, perhaps, or I don't know what the right solution is, but it would be nice to know for each of these portfolio areas, really where are the activities going on? Just even just as a member of a public, to understand how's my $300 million being spent in these particular areas, even though I know I can't reach them, and it may be a decade before I'll be able to, see them, but at least I know where they're happening. So, yeah, I certainly feel the lack of that particular detailed knowledge, but I don't know how the right way is to solve that.
Hey, Curtis, this is David Emmerich. I had suggested like a year ago, it would be nice to have an interactive website. Of course, it takes money and funding to, reprogram the website and everything, to drill down into each portfolio, see the progress made, funding, spent, things like that. And having a little map of it would be great too, but of course, that this takes money.
And staff time.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
agreed.
Yeah. If we're doing that, we're not doing projects. I mean,
we understand.
Right.
They're all excellent suggestions, and let's see what we can do with a little bit of the mapping, or maybe some more information.
Okay, so several members of the committee have expressed the benefit of more detailed geographical information about the projects, and we'll leave it with staff to come back with a response. Does that sound like a?
Yeah, we'll put our thinking caps on and kind of see what we can do for next year's report, basically, right? Because this year's report is printed. And there may be cases where it's feasible, there may be cases where it's not, or even not advisable. Just keeping in mind that some of those are construction sites, and they're off limits, of course. And acquisitions are not open to the public, and neither are restoration efforts. So the value would be limited, but maybe for the committee we can see what we can put together.
Okay. Any more questions for Stefan? I have one about one of the exhibits in the appendix. It's page 108. It's our standard list of schedule of program expenditures from the it used to be called the CAGR. I'm not sure what the current the big 120-page financial report.
The actor?
ACR, okay, but
Actor, yeah.
this year it says unaudited. I always thought it was audited, but it was. Am I remembering wrong? Has it always been?
No, you're remembering absolutely correctly.
And I went into the new ACR, and the auditor's letter makes it sound like they did audit the project schedule. So,
Well, yeah, well, the FY22 ACFR is not completed yet.
okay, yeah, I was looking at
So,
last year's. Okay,
Yeah, you might have seen last year's, and that may have been the confusion there. Unfortunately, as well, I don't know. It's probably a little bit of an aftermath of the whole pandemic, but with labor shortages everywhere, unfortunately, our external auditor has had labor shortages as well. I think during the course of our audit, he lost 4 staff members, and it's not a huge firm to begin with. So that caused some delays, but we have unaudited numbers, and they did not change. We did receive financial statements right before the holidays that confirmed these numbers, which is buttoning up the final closing entries and such, and putting the final reports together. So the unaudited numbers you see, they're still the same with the financial reports that we do have. And they're not anticipated to change at all. If they do, I will let you know on February 28th, of course. But the expenditures are the expenditures, and they are in this list. And the auditor has pretty much blessed it informally. We just don't have all the paperwork put together yet because of staffing shortages on their end, causing a little bit of a delay.
So Stefan, this is Stephen Permit. I had one question. So for a new member of the committee going through the binder, you know, I was surprised by how detailed it is and how complete it is and how much information is there. And I thank you for that. My one question is whether this would be the appropriate place to do it or some other place, but something as opposed to being more complex, being a little bit more simplistic for the general public who's paying the taxes on this for the next 30 years. If someone were to access this report or access the district's website, is there some place quickly and in a fairly simplistic way that someone in the public could see how well the money is being spent? So I didn't see any place that kind of has a, you know, in a very PR friendly way, a list of what's been accomplished and how well the money's been spent, or something to really for the staff to present to the community that that isn't as knowledgeable as this committee would be, something that just indicates that that their taxes are going to something that is really benefiting everyone in the community.
Right. No, that's excellent suggestion. I know when we hit the 5-year mark, we put a PowerPoint together and had a presentation, and also we went on the road a little bit on the coast as well, with some of the accomplishments to Pescadero, to Central Coast, Half Moon Bay, etc. And the other thing that we're doing annually now, and that's typically coincides with the December board retreat, where the board reviews the strategic plans and objectives, goals and objectives, is that we also look at our progress, looking at the various deliverables per portfolio, and kind of percentage that out and compare it to our spend pattern. So that's one area where people can find progress overall, if you will. And then the other part is there's a graph that shows, it's like a bar graph that shows total amount available per portfolio and amount expended. Between these various pieces, there is information that's more succinct than the 118-page report. We can see if we might not hurt to put something a little bit more front and center, but
You know, I'm thinking of like a school district. When you drive by Fremont High School, they have a sign out front that says, you know, measure whatever it is, C, paid for this new building and the new auditorium. And I would just be concerned that people who are paying the taxes don't know what is being funded
Right.
through the Measure AA special tax rate. And I don't know if this report is the place to do it, but I do think it's a good PR tool so that people, if they're at the preserves or on the website, they can know that somehow this is what my money is being used for, and this was a good use of the money.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And yeah, I've seen those thermometers, for example, with the fundraising efforts, and that's one thing that you see at schools a lot. One thing that we do at our preserves is when there is a project that is Measure AA funded, we put a sign out that's you know, this project funded by Measure AA. So we also have that logo for it, so we put those signs out there as well, so that the public can see when we do these things. Of course, that doesn't work with acquisitions. They're not that visible to the public necessarily, but yeah, we do what we can, and maybe we can do more, perhaps.
Stefan, this is Susanna,
Mhm.
Assistant General Manager, Susanna Chen. I just wanted to add that on our website, we do have some information, a little bit buried, but we do have that. It's on our website, under what we do, current project and program, and you get down to Measure AA. And so there's a summary, a description about what Measure AA is, and talks about the annual accountability report. So it's available there. And also have a summary of the land that we have purchased using Measure AA fund. So some information, but your suggestion is definitely valid, and then we can look into it and we can make it a little bit more prominent on our website, and maybe more summary of other projects that we do other than just land acquisitions.
Thank you.
Oh, this is Kit Gordon, and I think it's great to have the signs at the preserves as you've done, because more eyes will see it there, I think, than on a website. Of course, I mean, it's still good to have the summary, but I just wanted to affirm that having the signage at the preserves, I think, is very valuable.
Thank you.
So we'll start looking for more signs next tomorrow.
Mhm.
Okay, any other comments or questions about the accountability report? Are there any questions, comments from the public on this, Maria?
Committee Member Tully, we do not have any public comments at this moment.
I was at Bear Creek. I always go around and read all the signs, so they are very important. This item is concluded. There's no need to make a vote on it, and we can move to the next agenda item. And this is the agreed upon procedures for the review of Measure AA expenditures and select sample transactions. And I think we've got a staff presentation to this. Just a little bit of context. When we started the committee 6 years ago, we didn't have any process or procedures. So the committee, with the help of staff, sort of built these processes and procedures that we're going to be spending the next 5 or 6 minutes diving into before we start the rest of the work for tonight. So this is just once again, Stefan presenting.
Yeah. Oh, what do you see on the screen right now?
the title page for the meeting for today. This says Bond Oversight Committee meeting, January 17.
Okay, I was going to pull up the staff report that we had for you because it's basically describes what we're trying to do. This is where the task number one really for the BOC comes into play, which is to review the expenditures. And as chair, former chair, interim chair Tolly mentioned, we have come up with a pretty good process. Originally, we proposed a sample of 20 transactions. There's a lot of transactions, and it's time prohibitive for both for committee members as well as for staff members to delve through every single one of them, of course. So what you want to do is you want to come up with a sample, and you want that sample to be representative. You want it to be thorough, to give you a good comfort level that all the expenditures that we share the invoices with, that they are proper and appropriate and have been reviewed. And this is, of course, in addition to the review that the external auditor does as well. And in the past, by using this method, I don't recall the exact percentages, but I think we've hit somewhere in the high 70s or low 80% of combined review. So that's quite extensive. As a standard suggestion, we've always handled 5 land expenditures, or acquisitions, I should say, 5 land acquisitions, then 10 invoices of the highest dollar amounts, and that way you get a very large percentage of review, and then 5 assorted random project expenditures, not part of the other 2 categories, so not land acquisition or not top 10. But if there is not 5 land acquisitions, which does happen from time to time, then we reduce that part and increase some of the other categories. And in the past, what we've proposed, and we propose that again this time, is that we go with 7 random, so one per committee member. Each committee member pulls a random expenditure that piques their interest, and we have the land acquisitions, and then the remainder come out of the top 25. So in the current case, that would be one land, 7, although I don't know if we can do 7, we may need to do 6 since one committee member is absent. Random ones, and then 12, well, that may need to be 13. Non-land expenditure with the highest 25 dollar amounts. And the reason it's morphed into from the 25 highest is because you see a lot of recurring vendors. And if you take the pure top 10, you might wind up with only 2 vendors. But if you take it out of the top 25, you get a better spread of different vendors. And then we have review sheets for each expenditure that we can provide for the committee members to check the boxes. Okay, that gives you guideline as to what to look for as far as the timing, the amounts, the type of work that was done, etc. To make sure that all of the expenditures are reviewed thoroughly, equally, and the other part is that we want to get at least 2 sets of eyeballs on each expenditure. So the district clerk has a randomizer and assigns a minimum of 2 committee members per expenditure. Everybody else can review them as well, and of course. And then and the 28th, and the reason that there's 6 weeks in between is because we need time to pull all the invoices, because we don't know exactly which ones you're going to want to see. And then you need time to review them. So on the 28th, we reconvene as committee, and then the committee asks questions about all the different expenditures. And then we take it from there. So the staff proposal is 1 land, 12 non-land from the 25 highest, and then 7 assorted random, not part of the other 2 expenditures categories.
So could I just jump in here, Stefan? So we developed this because we're not an audit committee. We're not auditors, at least. I mean, most of the people in the past were not trained accountants. We did this to be able to feel comfortable with the statement. We need to affirm at the end of the process that in which we write a letter in which we state that basically, in simple words, that bond funds were only spent on bona fide bond projects as defined in Measure A and the expenditure plan. So we do a deep dive and come back and just make a general statement about bond funds were only spent on projects defined in the plan. We also get to talk to the auditor at one point, I hope, too. But...
Yes, that would be on the 28th, February 28th.
Okay. Any questions for Stefan?
This is Curtis Cole. Chair Tolley, if you can provide a little more guidance for me or Stefan on how we want to proceed here. I think we have an action in front of us to accept the modified 20 selection of the 1, the 12, and the 7, for example. That's easy enough. And then I actually have some questions about the 40-some pages of all transactions and expenditures, just to understand them a little bit better. But I think you're also going to be asking us tonight to individually select the 7 at random, or at least there are 6 of us here at random. Is that correct for our process tonight?
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Go ahead, Bruce.
They're not random. Based on the 7, basically people ahead of time sort of read through and pick things that they think are curious, or they don't understand, or they have some like pet interest. Like tonight, I have an owl project. Sometimes there are strange things, like there was reimbursements last year on a project Midpen Open Space worked on with the city of was it Saratoga, Los Gatos?
Yes, Saratoga. Yeah.
Well, I think that was 2 years in a row. We had all kinds of questions about how they were splitting things 50-50, and it was really confusing. So we had lots of questions about that. That was not so. The criteria for randomness is somewhat subjective. Usually it's things and there were some credit card expenses at one time we looked at, and we got a whole explanation from Stefan's team about how the credit cards are run and audited and checked, et cetera, inside the open space process. I don't know if that helped or not, but
that helped a lot. But let me follow up with one question on that. So would we, as individuals, select a generic category, a particular vendor, or a specific invoice represented by, say, 1 line on the 40 pages and 2,200 transactions?
Oh, good question. On the 7, it's one transaction, so it's 1 line.
Okay, very good. Then, with your permission, I'd like to ask a question of Stefan just to understand some of the categories first.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's a lot of lines here that are payroll post, BW, biweekly payroll posts, and a particular payroll number. And the dollar amounts are range from interesting to trivial,
Yeah.
and some of them are negative. Can you just kind of give me an understanding? What do they represent? And therefore, presumably I'll understand why some of them are only 17 cents or 41 cents or whatnot. And then why are some of them negative as you, and I can't remember the phrasing, but I think you understand the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are able to charge actual work done by staff to Measure AA projects. So that would be work that could also be done by a contractor, right? So it could be field crew or E&C project managers, engineering construction department project managers. So when they indicate that they've worked X number of hours on a project, that goes into our payroll system. And our payroll system then allocates that to the general ledger for that project. So the larger number of the payroll allocation would be their compensation for the individual. The
Right.
smaller numbers that you see them trailing are
Ah,
benefits.
got it.
So basically, we put through what's called a fully loaded compensation, but that is salary plus benefits, which could be medical, dental, vision, pension, and whatever else there may be.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What about the negative charges? Are they reimbursements? There's a, what's the phrase used?
Yeah, there is one section in there where we zeroed everything out because the project was closed, so we absorbed it back into the general fund. So we reclassified it out of Measure AA back to the general fund, and then that becomes a negative, and that zeroes it out.
So the funds become available for other Measure A projects, Measure A projects.
Exactly.
Okay. Excellent. I had one other follow-up. What the heck was it on that? The negative, the positive. So, I'm curious. I've had to use various, time and allocation tracking devices in my various jobs. They all were terrible 20 years ago. Does you have a decent one? The staff has an easy one? I'm curious, how do they allocate their hours? On a piece of paper, Post-it notes, or is it an electronic thing now on their mobile phones?
It's electronic. It's through our ERP system.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and we're on a bi-weekly cycle, so every 2 weeks we run payroll. And staff puts in the total hours worked in a day, but also if there's specific projects like for field crews or for project managers, then they can also tag that to specific projects.
Okay. One final trivial question on that. Does staff complain about the use of that tool, or is it actually reasonably not so onerous?
It's not too bad. I mean, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward.
Great. Thank you.
Good questions, though.
It wasn't electronic in the beginning, right? I remember we were looking at time
Right.
cards in the first meeting.
Yeah, that's right. In the beginning, the regular payroll was electronic, so clocking 9 to 5 was electronic, but then allocating it to the individual projects, that was done manually through journal entries. And then later on, after a year or two, it was added to the timekeeping system as one entry, so that it could be processed straight through the ERP system. Yeah. If you go way back, that'd be paper cards, but that's before Measure AA, so that doesn't play into it.
Okay, so any other questions for Stefan? Then we can move on to sample selection. So we're going to pick.
Do we need a motion to?
Oh, to accept the methodology, right?
Yeah.
I need to look at that piece of paper that Brian doesn't have. Any comments from the committee? Any comments from the public? Clerk, are there any comments from the public on this item?
Committee Member Tolley, we do not have any public comments at this moment.
Thank you.
I had one question about the 20 transactions. What percentage of the funds spent this year will that represent? Approximately.
That's a good question that I do not have a ready answer for. We typically calculate that once we generate the report, because we don't necessarily know exactly which individual transactions you'll pick, if they'll be large or small.
Oh, for last year.
Last year it was, I want to say in the mid 60s, like 60 something %. And then I think combined with the auditors numbers, because they also look at samples, even broader sample probably. I've seen percentage in, I think in the mid 80s. But if somebody has a better memory than me.
I think I dimly remember it was high because we had lots of land transactions, yeah. But we're going to pick 12 from the list of 25, and the list of 25 on page 1 of the long 44-page thing is 63%. But we're only going to pick half of these.
Yeah. Well, one other point, that list of 25, that it's total 25 is 3,763,000. And if you look at page 93, for the grand total for the year after the grants and other contributions, it's only 2,405. So you kind of can't directly compare it, I guess, just because it doesn't include the grants, I think, on page 49. Is that right, Stefan?
Well, grants is a funding source, right? So we're still
Yeah,
looking at we're still looking at the gross expenditures,
Right.
whether they're funded through bond proceeds or grants. We're still looking at the expenditures.
But I guess once again, see, I took 2 years of accounting in business school, but I don't claim to be an accountant. But we're not trying to do an audit here. We're just trying to get a sense that, bond funds are being spent on bond expenditures. So we often get, interesting coverage, but I don't want to get us into the arena of, because a couple of times we've gone to the board of trustees and they talk about how glad they were that we audited a second time, and we're an oversight committee. Our only duty is to affirm that bond funds are being spent on bond projects.
And I see that last year was 74% once it's all said and done. So
Yeah, we had pretty good coverage.
Yeah, this is Kit Gordon. Yeah, that is quite high coverage. I just was curious. Thank you.
So are we ready to start picking?
Do we need a motion to adopt the
Oh yeah, we need a motion. I was asking for that.
Okay.
This is General Counsel Hillary Stevenson. I just want to make sure we're talking about the same agenda item. So it looks like there's 3 actions under this agenda item. One is to affirm the procedures. One is
to affirm the procedures.
And then I think they can all be taken in one vote. I
Well,
would,
then we could do all the work and then come back and do this.
that's my suggestion, unless there's
Oh, okay.
a lot of disagreement around
That might
number
save us
2.
time.
Thanks.
Okay, so there's just one land transaction, right?
One acquisition, yes. Let's see, I can pull them up. Oh, there they are. No, is that the right one? Yeah. Thanks, Ellie. I think Ellie is sharing.
Yes.
And is it pronounced Vielbaum, or how does it? What's the family name?
Vielbaum, yes.
Okay.
At least that's how I would that's how I would pronounce it.
So that would be the one. And then 2 people would get a packet on this. They selected at random from the committee would get a packet on this acquisition and a questionnaire on to see if all the numbers and the relationships tie up. And there might be questions about the packet once it comes out.
Right. And Maria, can you shed some light on this? The people get, the only two people get the package, or everybody gets the entire package, but through the randomizer, committee members are assigned to review at least two committee members per transaction.
I'm trying to recall if they receive the entire package, and I believe they do. Let me confirm that really quick. One second.
Okay.
This is Curtis Cole. Mr. Chair, how do you propose we select 12 out of the 25 that are, I think, on the last page of the non-property top expenditures? Do you want a suggestion, or is there some other process you follow?
Well, usually Carla's comes with a list of, and her algorithm has been to pick, because there's usually pick one at least from each vendor, because the district works with a lot of the same vendors, right? Like, and to get, since there's multiple projects in here, don't pick them all from, the portfolio of 21. So we try to get the algorithm we've used this in the past to try to get coverage across all the as many vendors as possible, and all the portfolios.
If my recollection, you're right. I think you basically start with the top vendor, for example, Bianchi at 512,000. Then you go to the next vendor, not the next line, but the next vendor. So that'd be CVE, and then you continue going to a new name or a repeat vendor with a new project, and then you go through the list. If you've got 12, great. If not, then you start at the top again to complete the full dozen.
Stefan, this is Maria. To confirm, yes, all the BOC members do receive all the transactions. Prior to that, the BOC members are given their transactions by a randomizer. So two BOC members will do the same transactions, but they don't know who they are.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for confirming.
This is Kit Gordon. So if I'm understanding and reading this right, it looks like there's 10 unique vendors on this page, and we're trying to pick 12 line items. So we could do, pick the 10 different vendors and then 2 additional with the highest vendor.
Yeah. Shall we start highlighting?
Yes, please. Let's start highlighting them. Yeah, I think we can get through this quickly.
Yes.
And I say that only because I think I have to wake up in 6 hours.
I think this is the easy one. So
Are you driving? Or is Maria? Who's
Ellie is highlighting, so that'd be line 2, right? Line 7.
Yep, line 7.
13.
13, yep.
14.
14, yep.
15.
ACOM, yep.
16.
Hammer fences, yep.
17.
Yep.
And then you go down to 20. Let's see, CV, that's the same one.
17 would be a repeat.
Would it?
No, we haven't got to Albion yet.
Oh, yeah, that is a repeat. You're right. Okay, then you get 24. And 26. How many is that? 1, 2,
9.
that's 9. So 3 more.
I suggest you pick the middle ones, but go ahead, unless somebody's got a more intelligent process. I was going to start doing.
I was going to say line 22 is also CVE, but it's a different project.
Yeah.
No, it's the same project. But you can pull it.
Oh yeah, I see. Never mind.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not
A
seeing
separate
new
project
jump out.
between the trail crossing and the trail crossing and trail connect, or is it, that's the same project?
That is.
So like line 15 versus line 17.
That could just be a matter of semantics, but if you wish to cover the bases, you could put them both. It's probably the same.
I suggest we look at a Bianchi construction that's at a different date. Just spread it out, something from 21.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
So why don't we suggest along those lines, picking row 4 on that? It's a different date, it's May. And row 10, middle of that. And then the other big clump is in the technical services, pick row 18. It's sort of random, but different dates.
My suggestion was to get different dates for the George Bianchi construction, to try and get something from 21.
Ah,
Oh,
Good
like
idea.
line 12 or 11. Yeah.
Yes.
that's great. And then we need one more, I think.
Want to do another ACOM?
Yeah, I would say let's do 18.
Yeah, that's another. We've been waiting for the trail crossings and trail connections for a long time.
Okay, so that's a full dozen, right?
That's I count 12.
Did we want to do 13 because there are 6 committee members present, or keep it at 12?
That's a possibility too. That's up to the committee.
Well, we got 7 on the committee, right? We'll have all of you with us to share the load next meeting.
But the suggestion is made because there's only 6 committee members in attendance to pick their individual interest.
Oh, that's the next topic, isn't it?
Is there a way for us to allow the 7th currently absent member to send in their selection after the board meeting? Or do we need to do that in the public?
I need to
defer to general counsel.
This is General Counsel Stevenson, and I'm enjoying a delicious apple lollipop. So you caught me
Sorry.
at a very weird time, but thank you to the acting clerk for ordering dinner and allowing me to enjoy that lollipop. I'd suggest that we just select the items now and assign them to the 7th member, just so that it's the committee in general has an opportunity to choose those items and have their charge already, and there's no question about it moving forward. Thanks.
With the chair's permission, I'm ready to select my particular one. Although, honestly, it feels like I'm just pulling chocolates out of a box where they don't have the map. I'm afraid of getting the coconut.
Well, first, is everyone clear on what we're looking at? We're looking at a list of all the Measure AA transactions that happened in the fiscal year. I mean, that's the title at the top of the page, but so we could just go around the room and each person could pick one. I'm open to other suggestions, but that's the way we've done it in the past, and it seems to have worked.
Yeah, that works.
So should we go in alphabetical order?
Yes, David, over.
Who's at the top of the alphabet? Brian?
I am. And boy, I've got a bunch of them, but I got to pick one. So I'll take the first one I came up with was either 364 or 367, which are Condor County Counseling for Spotted Owl. 364 or 367? 364. Condor Country Consulting. So I see there are two of them there, 364 and 367. I saw them both, and you know, just I could take either one of those, the 364.
Oh, that was what I was going to pick, but yeah, go ahead.
That happened last year too. We had like 3 people pick the same thing.
Okay, we got that marked, the 7,701, okay. So who's next in the alphabet?
Yeah, it's Curtis.
Oh, I love the spot. Going down to mine is row 2198 to ecological concerns. Two 198. It's not as exciting as a spotted owl, I'll admit. And ensuring that we're, yes, please. Thank you.
And who's next in the alphabet?
I think it's me, David Emery. How about row 735? Hawthorne Bat Surveys, April to May 2022.
Okay, we got that. Who's up next?
I believe it's Kit.
I don't have a device where I can look at this. Can you bring up project 10 or just scroll down? Portfolio 10. Okay, one of the waterway consultants, maybe line 987.
87?
987.
987. All right.
And we up to 5? Is it my turn?
Yes.
Stephen Perman.
Oh, sorry.
Line item 1555, BC Stables Improvement Use Permit Application Prep, $17,000.
Sorry, Bruce.
Okay.
So my project is in the 280s. I know that Parisima to the Sea is an important project, but there's all these feasibility studies on parking. So I'll just take one of them, the line 287.
All right.
It kind of looks like it's being studied to death, but maybe that's the way these projects go.
Do we need to pick one more for our absent member?
Yes.
I recommend the new chair seem to have a large selection. What's his second choice?
Okay, how about 2199? It's a hazardous material permit for the Billingsley project.
Okay. Well done.
Okay. So we picked our three selection. And our motion should be a three-part motion. Okay, we're gonna affirm the procedures. Affirm the samples we've selected. Oh, and here, so we haven't even talked about this yet. Affirm that we want the auditor to come present at February 28th meeting. I'm going off the script written for me by Maria and Hillary of how to run the meeting remotely. And so we should have a three-part meeting because we talked earlier about one of our duties is to hear or review the auditor's report. And the full report of the auditor is posted on the website, and two exhibits from it are in the binder. I don't think we explained that before, but if Stefan needs to point us back at that, we could do it now. But we usually like to hear from the auditor himself or herself, tell us how they did the sampling, how they, because they've been the same company with Midpen for a few years now, how they control for bias, and what kind of coverage they had and what they do when they do the sampling. But it's always better to hear it directly from the horse's mouth, in my opinion. So that would be the three-part motion to affirm the procedures, that presentation we got from Stefan, to affirm the samples we just chose, and to affirm that we want the auditor to come present to us in the next meeting.
All right, I make a motion that we affirm the procedures and sampling sizes previously approved. We reviewed and measured AA bond expenditure reports and select sample expenditures from those reports, and that we affirm the staff's proposal to invite the district's auditor, since we did have some unaudited numbers in the report. And that's David.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
So it's moved and seconded. Are you capturing that, Maria?
Yes.
Probably as those of us who didn't have our dinner yet are trying to move quickly. So it's moved and seconded. We can go for a roll call vote.
Okay, yes, and we don't have any public comments. Committee member Silker,
Silker, aye.
committee member Emery,
Aye.
committee member Tully,
Aye.
committee member Gordon,
Yes.
Committee Member Cole,
Aye.
Committee Member Permit,
Aye.
motion passes 6-0.
All right, now we're moving to agenda item 5, which is, there's some questions about this earlier. Presentation of the board policy, how portfolios are closed and how to amend the expenditure plan. And I think Stefan's got this. I didn't see anything on our website, but
Right. I had it pulled up on my. There we go. I'm going to share the screen and we will distribute a hard copy after the meeting with other packets. But basically, as I mentioned, the board of directors has adopted a policy in, I believe it's December 6th, thereabouts. On the process on how to reallocate funds from one portfolio to another. And there's a couple different steps involved in that. And as you can see in the policy, so first staff reviews the accomplishments, and that culminates in the accountability report in the moon diagrams that we looked at, quarter, full, etc. To see if a portfolio of all the tasks, all the deliverables within that portfolio have been completed. And there's two ways to look at that: either deem it substantially complete or deem it complete. And the difference is substantially complete, it'll still have all of the moon diagrams fully colored in, so all the deliverables have been met. But there may be a project or two that could still be added to that would enhance those deliverables. And in that case, it would be substantially complete. But then we would like to know what those projects are and have an approximate idea as to the cost and see how it fits within the funding of that portfolio. So we have an idea as to how much money is unspent. Or it could be deemed complete, in which case there are no future projects anticipated. So based on that, we have an idea as to how much is available. Then we look at other portfolios that may need additional funding. And that happens because, I mean, like I said, the information that the original allocations were based on is from 2014. Things do change over time. And then we recommend shifting funds from one portfolio to another, but only if they're either substantially complete or complete. And then the first step is for staff to present to a committee of the board of directors, that is the ABC committee, the Action Plan and Budget Committee, also known as the Finance Committee, basically, to make sure that we're on the right track with saying, okay, these are complete, substantially complete, and this is where the funding, we recommend the funding needs to go. After ABC has deliberated, then we would come before the Bond Oversight Committee, before this group, and receive the BOC opinion. And then we combine the ABC and BOC opinion and present it to the full board for a vote. And we do that once a year. And that board of directors, our board of directors, needs to approve this with a 2/3 majority. And then funds can be reallocated from one portfolio to another. So in a nutshell, it's a pretty straightforward process. The important part is we only look at portfolios that are complete or substantially complete. So all the deliverables have already been met before we entertain moving funds from there. And then staff is step 1, ABC is step 2, BOC is step 3, and then the final step is a 2/3 vote, majority vote from the board of directors. we do have a portfolio or two that we're contemplating to come to either deem them complete, like Saratoga to the Sea. Right, that was a very simple one. That one is complete, and we'd like to hopefully use this winter to have a test run of the process and the procedure, and first go before ABC and then come before BOC, and then take it to the board.
So are there any questions for Stefan?
Yeah, I have a question. Say you take a project that is complete
Mhm.
and you move to remove the funds. Have you ever done that? Or is this the first time that this has been implemented?
This will be the first time. We have not done that yet. We have not needed to do that yet because we have not had any portfolios that needed additional funding, nor have we, well, last year we had one portfolio or two portfolios that were complete that we could have moved funds out of, but we don't want to do that until we know where the funds need to go. So this is the first year that we're going to be doing this.
And an additional part of that question is, I could the funds be moved back, and what would it take to do that if at some time in the future you did find a way to substantially enhance the outcome of a project?
Right. Oh, yeah, that would be the same process to move those funds back. And there's also different ways of doing that. Excuse me. I got a zoo over here that's trying to opine in as well. Apologize for that. So yeah, basically funds could be moved back. And it would be the same procedure of stepping through, ABC, BOC, and then 2/3 board vote. And whether or not that would be Measure AA funding or perhaps general fund or different funding source, we can tackle that when we encounter it.
Thank you.
This is David Emery. I had a question, Stefan. You mentioned completing Saratoga to the Sea. And if you have additional funding, will that go into an escrow account until you determine which other project, priority project you will assign that to?
No, it
Or
would
do you already have some in mind that?
we would move it directly into a portfolio where funds are needed.
Okay.
That's a good question, though. That would be a different process, but the proposed process that the board adopted is to move it directly into a portfolio that's in need.
This is Curtis Cole. My apologies. Is there a list right now of portfolios and the dollar amounts that staff feels that each of those need?
No, we are working on, well, we have a few portfolios that are closed. We haven't gone through our process yet, and then we need to go through the ABC process. There are some portfolios that we know are under pressure as far as needing funds. And that will be part of our proposal when we come to BOC for opinion, moving the money.
And then Stefan, one last question. Well, maybe one last question for me. I know some of the projects are moving forward because of resistance on some landowners to selling. Is it just purchase price, or is it just they want to keep it in the family, or any other reluctance?
I'm sorry, can you repeat
Some of the
that?
landowners were reluctant to sell. So is it a purchase price, or is it they just don't want to have it leave the family interest, or is there some other reason that they don't want to sell?
Susanna, can you answer that, or Mike?
Actually, can you repeat your question again? I don't.
Yes, there was a couple of projects that were had mentioned that some landowners were reluctant to sell. So is it a purchase price issue? Is it that they want to keep it in the family? Or is there some other issue?
I got it. It depends. It depends on the particular situation of the seller. The reason that they're not willing to sell at this point has with different reasons. They have different reasons to that is not ready to sell their property to the district.
Yeah, I understand that. And just to know if we were to assign funds to another project that, you know, needed some additional funds to purchase the property, if that help, or if you would prioritize a project that is more on the way to completion to try to get that going, you know.
So if we need to keep funds aside, then we could deem the portfolio substantially complete and keep aside a certain amount of funding for additional acquisition, a particular acquisition that may come in the future, and keep that money off to the side. No, shush.
Are there other questions for Stefan? So I had one, the last policy part 3. So I guess what's new here in terms of process for us as a committee is it goes to the ABC guys, and gals, which is the finance committee. So staff comes up with a proposal, and then it goes to the ABC committee, and then we would get to hear it. But you know, it's really in the authority of the board, right, to decide where to move the money around, right? So but we can offer opinion, and that opinion would go with the document to the board. Is that, am I just understanding the flow right?
Right, and exactly. And the reason that we put ABC in the middle is because we want to make sure that a segment of the board, or that the board basically agrees that that portfolio is substantially complete or complete. We want to make sure that we're on the same page, if you will, before we go to the BOC for opinion and then move it forward to the full board. That happens a lot with projects as well, where it goes before a committee and we receive feedback from the committee, incorporate that, and then move forward for a full decision.
And substantially complete means, like when you have the description in the binder, there's like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 bullets. That means all the bullets are checked off. Is there some other definition of substantially? I mean,
No, yeah, so in either case, whether it's substantially complete or complete, all of those have to be checked off completely. If it's substantially complete, that could mean that there is something else that could still be done to enhance the delivery of those tasks.
So I'm asking, is the document that describes the goals or tasks, the bullets in the binder?
Right.
For each portfolio, has a description, but that's what's going to be checked off, that to define what substantially complete is.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Stefan? Are there any comments from the public on this, Maria?
This is Irma. Committee Member Tolley, we do not have any public comments.
Okay, unless there are any other comments or questions from the committee, including the canine member, we could call this item concluded. So the final agenda item is the next 3 meetings. So Maria sent these out as calendar invites a week or 2 ago. I think the next one's going to be in person, right? Because the emergency order expires at some point. So there's no action item required on it. Agenda 6. Are there any questions?
Chair Tolley, if this is Hillary Stevenson, General Counsel, just for the entire committee's information, the February 28th meeting could still be a hybrid meeting. And
Okay.
that, I believe, is the last day during which the COVID emergency is effective throughout the state. And once midnight hits, then beginning on March 1st, essentially, we'll start reverting to the Brown Act rules as we knew them prior to COVID, with some new changes that I can inform the committee about. There are certain special circumstances under which committee members could potentially participate remotely if they're having some sort of family emergency, or they have a medical condition that would prevent them from physically attending. So, but generally speaking, the idea would be that we would hold the meetings here in the boardroom, and they would still be available to the public via Zoom. And like I said, I'll have some more information about the committee members so that you're all aware of those kind of changes to our process moving forward. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Hillary, for the clarification. So the February meeting might be a hybrid then. I'm anxious to see the new meeting room. There were stains in the old meeting room where the water had leaked through, so.
And yes, the 28th, it is hybrid unless
It is hybrid.
unless there's some change that we are not anticipating between now and then.
Okay, we'll be
I think it's
hybrid unless there's some change. Okay, great.
a beautiful room, so we invite everyone in. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments before we move to adjourn? Want to thank everyone for their time.
This is Curtis Cole. I have to acknowledge that on the 28th, I do want to be in the meeting room, but unfortunately, I'm going to be remote on the 28th.
Okay. So I'll go take a tour and send you some photos.
I've been in there. It's lovely.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Thanks everyone for your time. Thanks you, Brian and David, for stepping up to take on the chair and vice chair role, and see you all in February.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night.
Adjourned.
Good night.
Good night.